No, I'm talking to nobody. I'm talking to you, of course.
I did. I washed my hair. I put some makeup on.
When's the last time you drank a bourbon? Like, I want to understand like how serious you are about it.
Listen, I just want to tell you, I thought about you the other night because I was out with one of my friends. She came to New Albany, Indiana from Missouri.
Huh?
And it was great because we got together and we're getting ready to do some fix this next stuff. And so we went to this local bar called the Earl. And I told the bartender, I said, I want to try bourbon I've never tried before. And he's like, okay, what kind do you like? And I said, well, I sort of like a rye, but I want it neat. So just surprise me. And he brought down this bottle of Old Forester. And I can't remember exactly which kind it was, but he said, here's two options. This one's for the girls and this one's for the real men. And so I was like, well, of course I want the one for the real men.
Yeah, and I want the one for the girls, by the way.
Mike's the one for the girls. But I drank it and it was amazing. If you like bananas or pancakes, it tastes like pancakes with bananas on top.
Oh my gosh.
It was the best bourbon. It was so good. So good. I was like, Mike would actually like this because it's just girly enough.
Yeah, I've had now a few bourbons neat, and it was really totally inspired by you.
Oh, I hope, because your glass full of ice cubes with bourbon, you can't do that. That's illegal.
That's illegal.
Can't do that.
Yeah, well, I'm from the north. It's legit up here, but in the puritanical arena, yeah, I know it's not legit. But you've really persuaded me. Now, honestly, I maybe have a bourbon. Well, I was on break. I was doing a lot more, but now maybe once a week, once or 2 weeks. How often do you honestly?
Yeah, I don't drink it that much.
Yeah, that's what I assumed.
No, you can't do that stuff every day. It's just like it's like a treat, It's like a nice little celebration.
Like a treat.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the next morning when I wake up, I'm hungover, and I don't care if I don't even feel the effects when I'm drinking. The next day, it's like I slept like shit. I feel foggy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You get a headache. That's bourbon. It's what it does to me too.
So, how many? You owned a hair salon, or you still do?
I do. I can see it right there.
I didn't. What?
Yeah.
So you own a hair salon. I gotta look at this now. A real estate. These are things I didn't know. A real estate company.
Yeah.
The healthcare group practice I knew. Consulting firm. So you own 4 active businesses right now?
Well, sort of. Yes. Sort of. Probably more like 5. We have another one that's launching on February 14th, but you've never asked, so you would have no reason to know.
Well, because you're not a blabbermouth like me. I just talk. You withheld critical information here. So let's go through the list of businesses you have. You got hair salon. What do you do at the hair salon, and how many people work there? Are you involved in that business?
No, I'm not. It's really more like a real estate. So I rent space. I bought a property that had a hair salon on it, but it was pretty crappy. So I just renovated the whole thing, set up all new booths, did all of that, and then just rent the space to the stylist. But we added a component that you can't really get anywhere else is since I already have a consulting company, we do all of their social media content for the people that rent the booth. We do all of their marketing stuff for them. We help promote their businesses. So we kind of help in both ways there.
Okay, so you're making money on rent. I guess they share maybe in some of the revenue they generate.
Yeah.
And you also charge them for their marketing content. So you're a one-stop shop.
Yeah, it's just all built in. It's all built into the rent.
You got a mental health group practice that is substantial. Give me some of the details on this business.
Yeah, so we have I think we have around 80 employees right now. We're getting ready to gear up. I think we're trying to hire about 42 more in the first half of the year. So we'll have over 100, probably more like 125. And we provide services in 19 counties throughout the state of Kentucky. God. Yeah, and we have 9 physical locations, and we're getting ready to add some more. So it's been a That one has been a whirlwind. That one's been fun.
Uh, so you got all these businesses, and what's your function in each of these companies?
Um, yeah, so I'm most involved in the consulting business.
Okay.
Obviously, that's the one that I spend most of my time in. The mental health practice, I designed that to run without me. So I really do nothing in that one whatsoever. I'm just kind of here for moral support, and let's come up with some creative ideas that's going to set us apart from some of the other places in the state. And so that's what I do there. Hair salon, I don't do anything. Real estate company, I don't do anything. It's all pretty self-sufficient, and that's how I like it.
You've achieved what I think so many people want, and so few ever even have a taste of, which is to own a business but not have the business depend upon them whatsoever. So what I'm hearing is with your mental health care group that's now going to surpass 100 plus employees, that if you don't show up for a few months, a few years, I don't know, a few years, does it just keep on creating cash and serving the community?
It does. I mean, I literally do nothing. I do nothing, but I'm involved because I love it. Um, I refer to it in a lot of ways as my laboratory. I get to test new ideas in it.
Yeah.
I get to try out new systems. I get to automate new processes in there and see if it works before I take it out to anyone else and say, "Hey, do this." Because I'm not going to tell someone to do something that I haven't done, or that I know that I don't that I'm not confident that's going to help them in some substantial way. So it serves that purpose very well. And we get to help people. And so it's kind of win-win. And I've always been one of these people, even as a mom, I don't want my kids to need me. And I want them to want me, but I don't want them to need me.
Yeah.
And I get a lot of satisfaction whenever people can be independent, and when I can see my employees come up with their own ideas and solve their own problems and see how excited they get. And why should I get in the way of that?
Yeah.
They don't need me. They choose me. They choose to be here. And that's kind of the relationship I have with them. It's I have a lot of respect for them.
I can imagine. But do they have respect for you? Do they feel that you've abandoned them? You take all of the money, they do all the work.
They're like, go home.
They're telling you to go home.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that I don't have to show up to the actual building to work every day. I do because I like that kind of connection with my team.
Yeah.
And I think it's just I think if you ask any of them, they would say that we have a good, healthy relationship, and they respect me, and they know that they need me for the big things and they don't need me for the everyday things, and that they have the ability to make decisions and fulfill their own, inner purpose on their own without me telling them how and when and why all the time.
How old are you now?
I'm 37. No,
37.
no, I'm 36. I'm 36. I'll be 37
In
next.
10 years.
Yeah.
At some future point. You're 30, you're 36. Have you, be honest with me, have you achieved when you were younger in your 20s or teens? I mean, haven't you checked off every single box on the dream list? Like, have you
Almost.
achieved
As of
almost?
as of July 19th, yes.
What happened July 19th?
Nothing yet. July 19th of this
Oh, the
year.
upcoming. What? Oh, it was the release of the book.
Yeah.
And you got the author checked off.
That's it.
Okay. So here's it's funny. I was just talking with a few weeks ago. I talked with the guy. Actually, when this broadcast, it'll be a few months back. But a guy named Jeff Walker. He's a big internet marketer,
Mhm.
and I asked him a question. I'm like, "Oh, have you achieved all your dreams?" He's like, I've checked them all off. And I go, how did it feel that day you put the final check in? He's like, it was a pretty shitty day. I'm like, that makes no sense to me. He's like, there's this question that comes about. He says, is this all there is? I mean, are you starting to experience that? You're 36 and you've done it all.
No, no, I wouldn't say that. I don't feel like that checklist is finite. To
Okay.
me, it's always changing, it's always growing, and it, I just have a different level of confidence now that I used to have. And I think that maybe that's why the author thing was at the bottom of my checklist, is because now it doesn't have to stop. Now it can
Hmm.
go to talk about something else, another thing about business that I'm passionate about. And it wasn't until recently, actually with the help of AJ and Laura, that I was like I had this epiphany about myself as an author. I always knew I
Yeah.
wanted to write, but like what was I gonna sound like and what was I gonna write about, and was I gonna be the bro dude, the Jersey boy, frat boy business guru guy?
There's already one that exists. I'm sorry.
Who would want to do that?
Yeah, no, he sounds like a real tool. Probably drinks girly drinks too.
Really does. Um, but so that kind of came to be, and then now I have this whole other level of just like I'm itching so bad to just get started at this. I can't even tell you. It's unreal how I feel about this next, whatever you want to call it, journey or
Yeah.
whatever.
Oh, yeah. I can only envision. I can only imagine how successful you're going to be as an author, devoting yourself to this because you have this relentless energy. But I want to first rewind. I want to go back to single mom, no businesses, um, just down. Uh,
Mhm.
when was that period of your life? How long ago was that? And how do you
That
turn it around like you did?
that was in my early 20s. I
Okay.
mean, doesn't really feel like that long ago
That's
now.
not, that's 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, probably about 11, 12.
Okay. That isn't long ago.
No,
And
no.
so what was going on then?
I was in a bad relationship, and I think that is the reason that a lot of shitty stuff happens to us in life is get we position ourselves around people that we don't need to be around.
Yeah.
And that was kind of me at that point. It wasn't really that the people were bad people; they were just not good people for me. And I I was broke. I was dependent on financially on a relationship. I didn't like how that felt.
Mm,
It was a person, so you can imagine how that would feel, like
yeah.
I need $20, I gotta eat lunch today. That kind of thing. It was terrible. Um,
Did that person almost use that as like a way to keep
for
you and
sure.
thumb you
For sure.
down? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And so I didn't really have a lot of I knew that I had the potential to do whatever I wanted to do, but I just knew the steps that I was going to have to take to get there were going to be awful. I was really going to have to just get in the thick of it. And it's crazy as it sounds, I can't remember what it's called. I'm sure you know, but I was sitting in church one day and I was literally at my breaking point. I was like, something's got to change. I've
Yeah.
had it. Like, I give up. I've tried everything. It's not working. I'm just sucking at life. And the pastor was talking about the five, the five people that you're the culmination of the
The
five
5
people.
people that are immediately around you, yes.
And I was thinking on my fingers, like who I'm around, and I thought, oh, I'm screwed. I've got to stop. I've got to find new people.
Yeah,
And and I live in a really small town in the middle of nowhere.
yeah.
So I had to start thinking outside of my bubble and just believing that there was a world out there that I hadn't tapped into yet. And just started joining online communities and meeting people and supporting one another, people that were doing the things that I wanted to do.
Mm.
Reading books because that was all I could afford. I was so broke. I had to file bankruptcy. I couldn't even pay somebody to teach me something. I was just buying books. I was going to the library. I was reading books, and I was just trying to immerse myself in a world that I really didn't even know at that point.
So you were what kind of books, like self-help?
No, it was all business. I remember Cash Flow Quadrant and Rich Dad Poor Dad. Those
Yes.
were the first books I ever read, and I was like, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
I'm doing this. I'm not gonna be at anyone else's mercy anymore. If I'm gonna suck at life, it's because I'm gonna suck at life, not because I'm an employee somewhere or somebody else has control over me that I can't help. And it
So,
just
okay, so what about these relationships, the 5 people around you? You had to make at some point a decision to remove those relationships and initiate new ones beyond
did.
books, beyond online. How do you get out of these historical relationships that are not serving you?
I just got out, like I mean I just did. I stopped hanging out I stopped going with them to eat and stopped going out on the weekends and stopped doing all those things. And I started going to church, and I just tried to find people in my community that were some people that I could look up to. And that's actually how I met my husband, is by doing that. And he's really been so supportive. He was big on just, you can do whatever you want. I believe you. You just,
Mm.
like, you can do it. And he had no idea what I was trying to do, but he was like, you can do this. You've got this. You need to stay at work longer. Go ahead. It's okay. I'll take care of everything. So that was a big turning point.
So it sounds like you start inserting yourself in a new community, books, online. You actually start getting out physically, and the people are there because that's the community you're inserting yourself in, and then you start building relationships. You meet your husband this way. Um, when did you start the first business? Like, when did you go out all out in the first business?
So I'd always tinkered in
Okay.
businesses, but never really just said, all right, I'm doing this. And I started my first business after my middle child. Her name's Lennon. She's 6 now. I had a very high risk pregnancy with her. It was really scary. Had to be put on flat, like absolutely flat bed rest at
Mm.
20 weeks with her.
Oh.
Yeah. And so I was an employee at that time, and I lost my job because I couldn't work, and telehealth wasn't really a thing then. And it was bad. And my husband, he has a high school diploma. Like, he doesn't have a degree. He didn't have a big fancy job. He had to get a job at a call center selling credit cards, of all things. And then he would leave the job at the credit card place to go work at an Italian restaurant and serve pizza
Mm.
for tips to help just keep us going.
And this is
Um,
6 years ago, 7 years ago.
yeah.
Wow.
I mean, we lost everything. I mean,
Yeah.
everything. We had nothing. And I had like, I almost told this story in the book, and I just didn't, because I think it's going to be its own thing. But, um, I had nothing. The only thing I did have was time, and I had a lot of time to think and a lot of time to plan. And
Mm.
so for 4 or 5 months there, that's just what I did. And then after I had the baby, went back to work, got settled a little bit, and said, "All right, I'm doing it." And I went from that first year, um, starting that first business, which wasn't even a full year. I think we grossed like $334,000. Next year it was like 1.2 million, and then 3 million, and then we just kept going and going and going, and here we are.
What's your businesses today? The collective revenue? Do you
Um Last time I checked, we're at about 6.5
$6.5 million in revenue?
taxes this year. But I would say we're pretty close.
My
Yeah.
God. So yes, and that's six, and within 6 years to have that trajectory, it's unbelievable. Um, you then decide to become an author. You and I connected, and you're writing Fix This Next. I know you're actually already working on more books. You have this. Has this always been in you? This relentless drive. I thought I had drive. Like, you go blowing by me as I'm sipping on my girly drink, and the little umbrella goes flying out. Have you
Um,
always had this drive?
when I have clarity on where I'm going, yes, you won't stop me. It's just, I find myself, I'll slow down when I'm not really clear on the vision of where I'm
Okay.
headed. Yeah. So no, I mean, I think that I've always had this personality. I'm not. I think I've told you before, I'm not a half-asser. So if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna go all out doing it.
Hmm.
But sometimes it takes me a little longer to figure out what it is I'm gonna do.
Hmm. So when you have clarity on what you're going to do, what are the parameters? Is it the actual technical plan of the business? Is a vision of how it'll be a service to others? Like, what's the driving things you have to have in place for you to have this racing forward drive?
Yeah. So now it's just about fulfilling a higher level of purpose, really.
Mm.
I mean, because I don't know. I always hate it when people say it's not about the money, because I do believe profitability has to be number one in anything that you're doing, or else don't do it. But at this point in my life, I'm doing things, one, that I want to do, for whatever reason, if I want to do it. Two, if I can help others. And I'm just ready to kind of, I'm just ready to help. I'm just ready to do something
Yeah.
in this world and just help people. And I think that what if I wouldn't have got out of that 5 people? What if I wouldn't have had the confidence, or actually I didn't even have the confidence? What if I didn't just do it? And where would I be? And how many other people feel like that? And how many other people are just waiting till they feel like the time is right, or till they have all of the plan in place before they start? And what are we missing out on as a result of that? Because people aren't confident enough to just move forward and put their ideas out in this world. So
Kasey, do you see the him and hers out there that are stuck with that wrong 5?
yeah, yeah.
And are are they the word's not salvageable, but can you save them, or they have to save themselves before you can serve them? How's that work?
That's a good question. I mean, I think a lot of it is definitely wrapped up in your mindset, and so that's something we should all have people in our lives, whether it's therapy or life coach or whatever you want to do to help challenge you. But for me, I think the best way to figure it out, even if you have an idea and you're just not sure, is just to do it. And whenever I was thinking about confidence, and when I was laying there in the bed on bed rest all day long by myself, I didn't believe in myself. Like, I mean, I kind of did. Like, I thought, yeah, I can do this, but I had no proof that I could do it. I'd never done
Mm,
it before. Um, and so I just had to do it. And I just had to tell myself that I'm going to figure it out. And really, a business is just a bunch of problem solving. And let's just problem solve. We're going to figure it out. It's going to be okay. We're going to make it work. And really, after that, that's kind of how I run all businesses now. I'm not afraid of it, but if I'm trying to decide whether or not I'm going to do it, I first look on the profitability. Is this profitable? How much effort am I going to have to put into this? And what am I going to get out of it? And then what kind of difference is it going to make?
mm. I love that. Can you do it without proof? Can you commit to doing it without proof? Because the proof comes after, obviously.
It finds you. It's like that
Mm.
confidence thing. You can't wait till you feel confident to go. You just have to go, and then the confidence catches up to you.
So tell me about Fix This Next for healthcare providers. What is your intention exactly with this book?
So when I started to write this book, this is the first book I've ever written, first derivative book I've ever
First, but
written.
definitely not the last.
Definitely not the last. It was so fun to write, but as I sat down trying to figure out an outline for the
Yeah.
thing, I didn't want to just copy yours. Not that, there would be anything like that, but I knew that healthcare providers were looking at this a little differently than
Yeah.
the average person. And so when I started thinking about what Fix This Next means for this industry, I just kept coming back to time. That's the one thing we can never get enough of. It's the one thing we're always battling. It's the one thing we just can't seem to satisfy the need for. And as business owners, we say all of the time, I don't have time. I don't have time for that. I wish I could do this. I can't. I don't have time. I don't have time. And for me, the Fix This Next system helps people get their time back.
Mm.
Because think of how many times we take a to-do list, and we're like writing it all down. We're trying to figure out, oh gosh, I got all this stuff to do, and we get it all done every single day, and then tomorrow we just get a whole nother list. It never ends. It never goes away. And it's just a battle that people fight on how to know what to do and when to do it. And so that's what I did with this, is I wanted to give people their time back. And how I was going to do that was teaching them how to identify the core needs in their practice, and how to make that into a diagnosis and treat it just like they would a patient.
Why did you write for healthcare providers? You could have done it for, hair salons, done it for business consultancies, could have done it for bourbon drinkers. why,
Uh,
why healthcare? Why healthcare providers?
Two reasons. So healthcare providers, I believe that especially therapists are the best suited to be entrepreneurs as anybody could be. because so much of running and operating and troubleshooting a business is just like treating a patient.
Mm.
And we think that they're two separate things. And so we think that we have to have an MBA to be a successful healthcare practice owner, when it's really not true. We think we have to learn two skill sets, but we don't. We diagnose patients just like we should diagnose our business. There's so many parallels. So that's the first and main reason. But the second reason is because um, healthcare providers they try so hard. They are the ones out here in all of these Facebook groups and all these communities asking, like, how should I do this? Or how should I structure this? Or how should I implement profit first? Or, they are I call them content hoarders. They love content. They love to read. They love just self-development.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're just such a good audience to be able to teach this to.
I assume that's the nature of their professional upbringing, that you get as much education as possible, but there's always new discovery, always new learning. So you're constantly learning. Um, and I also assume that, kind of they call it the cobbler's kids. The cobbler can make shoes for everyone else, but when it comes to their own children, it's the last one to focus on. I presume it's a similar scenario. They can dole out all this knowledge and support other people, but they don't support themselves. Um, and I also believe, because they're starting the process, they're doing the process themselves, the one-on-one, it's hard to move from doing to operating and then ultimately owning, like you have.
Mhm.
Is there a kind of a mind shift that needs to happen to get you out of that business from the doing aspect?
Yeah, yeah. So many times I'm speaking of therapists, I'm like, you're running this business like a therapist. You need to run this business like a business owner.
Yes.
There are times you got to take that hat off and you got to look at it
Mm.
as profitability here. Like that is the goal. We are trying to shoot for profitability. And I think that it's hard. And the battle that I have fought over the last couple of years with healthcare providers is getting them to see it that way. But I'll tell you how I finally got it to click was, they all want to say that the goal of their business is to help people. Well, it's not. It's profit. It's to make money. Um, but the purpose of their business is to help people, and you cannot achieve that purpose without first achieving that goal. And so there's a whole chapter about that in the book, and how you structure that and how you frame that out mentally. And I think once you can latch onto that, it doesn't feel so yucky. Like we're helping people here. We shouldn't be making money off of people's trouble,
Yeah.
and that's the block.
I can totally see that. Yeah. It's greed. You're taking advantage of others. So is there a practical step to get out of that mindset to actually convince myself that profit is more than a necessity? It's a good thing.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's an awesome quote, and I can't remember what it is right now, but it's basically talking about profitability. The difference between running a business with or without profitability makes you either a business or a charity.
Mm.
You know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. But I think what happens is if they can't make that shift just on their own, and to see that the goal has to be profitability in order to serve a higher purpose, they're going to figure it out the hard way, because they're not going to be able to pay their bills. They're going to be struggling. They're going to be working their heinies off, and they're still not going to be making a dent in any of that to-do list, or they're going to be just flying through that to-do list every single day, and they're still going to be broke. And then they start to see it, and then they're like, oh man, I'm tired, I'm neglecting my family, I've missed kindergarten graduation,
Yeah.
my kids forgot what I look like, I have gray hair and wrinkles now, and I'm broke. And so they'll get it eventually. I think it's just trying to save people from that nasty process.
Yeah.
But
I'm wondering if it's almost necessary. And I wonder if that nasty process, though, may come too late. I mean, for you, it happened in your early 20s and you're laying flat in the bed. Uh, you had that moment at church. Like, you had some defining moments that you took action upon, because I think it sounds like it was so traumatic. For the therapist who's sitting there, it's like, oh gosh, I'm just exhausted every day, but this is, I'm I can't pay my bills. Like, they're kind of in that purgatory.
yeah.
Is there a way, if you're in that state, to get through it, or do you have to hit the wall to finally wake up?
You have to hit the wall. I think you have to get involved with something with other people that are also either trying to get there or
Yeah.
have already gotten there. You've got to be able, you cannot run this kind of business in isolation. It doesn't work. And it shouldn't, because there's so many ways to get help out there. And even if you're struggling financially and you can't afford to pay for help, there's so many free resources online and communities for people that really just need extra support or need somebody to bounce questions off of, like, should I have independent contractors or should I hire employees? Just things like that are super easy to get answered. And I think that people just have to feel secure enough to say, hey, I need a little support.
And I wonder if a wake up call too is projecting the future. I mean, that's what you said, shared you were doing. Like, what if I stayed in this relationship with this circle of five? Where am I going to end up? And it sounds like you're like, oh shit, this is not good. I wonder if therapists, any business owner can do the same thing. Is that if I continue this path, you
Yeah.
know, instead of waiting for 2 more years and I hit the wall, if I continue this path, I know in 2 years I'm going to hit the wall. I wonder if do you think that's visceral enough for them to say, I will change?
Mhm. For some people, I do.
Yeah,
I
for some.
Some people, they're just gonna have to hit, they just gotta hit themselves in the head over and over and over before they realize that there is a better way. And that, I have a friend that I was joking with her the other day. I was like, Tara, you just keep hitting your head against the wall over and over and over. When are you gonna say, man, this hurts? I'm gonna stop this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think some people, for the majority of people, I don't think they need to go through that process. I mean, if you have a bookkeeper or a CPA or an accountant, ask them. Say, hey, look at these numbers. If I don't change anything, what's this going to look like next year? Give me a projection. What can I expect to see?
Yeah,
And
it kind of equates it to smokers. I equate it to smokers. Is there's the most assured way to stop smoking is to actually die from smoking. You'll never smoke again that day. The second way is to have a heart attack, some traumatic event that wakes you up. And the third way is to look at it, all the pictures of the blackened lungs to know the path you're on. And sadly, for some, we choose to die. Others, the heart attack. But I think more and more look at the trajectory that they're on and make that change.
yeah,
Tell
yeah.
me, hey, tell me about on that dark note, tell me about your future books. What are you going to be writing next?
Okay. So, the next book that I want to write will be, I developed this program called Systemizer School.
Yeah.
And it's basically the way that we scaled this business, consulting business, every business. And it's similar in a lot of ways to your clockwork. Like, I mean, it's the same idea. The process looks a lot different. So I'm really excited to do that. We've run that now. We've had two beta programs of two
Love
groups
that.
of 30 go through this program. So I'm just collecting a bunch of data right now. Actually, I think you're going to be on a Q&A for that one in a couple days.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so that one's a big one I'm really excited about. And then I do want to write another one called The Laundry Basket Baby. And it's that bed rest story where we were so broke and had to come home. And our baby slept in a laundry basket at the side of the bed because that's all we had.
Wow.
And just how to um, how to formulate a business from literally nothing. I mean,
Yeah.
I had to borrow $600 to start my now multi-million dollar practice. I didn't even have it. All I needed was $600 and I didn't have
Oh my
it.
God. It's unbelievable, particularly service-based businesses, how little money is required to start one up, as long as you have the effort and drive. Um, did I hook you up with my agent? I can't remember. My speaking agent yet?
Have you?
Yeah.
No,
No, I got to hook you up. Okay.
you
She'll
haven't
love you.
hooked me.
It's actually my sister, my actual biological sister. She left the corporate world. This is now 4 or 5 years ago to become a speaking agent. I was her first client, but that was her first entrepreneurial endeavor. She represents, I think, like 30 or 40 speakers. So if you want, she may be of
Hook
value to you.
me, hook me up.
Yeah, I'll hook you up. I'll hook you up. I'll tell you, every person I've introduced you to, I get feedback from. I'm not like, spying on you. It's always the same. She's the
Really?
best fucking student, Mike. Like, I wish you were that good. She's got so much drive, Mike. I wish you were that good. I almost don't want to introduce you because I do, because I'm so impressed by you and you're doing such good things for our planet and our world, and I love you. Um, Conversely, I like to be the best student in the class. I
Well,
want to
no,
be the valedictorian, and
no,
you're
no, no,
winning.
no.
You're winning. AJ's like, oh my God, I wish you could just perform like Kasey does. Just so you know.
Well, I appreciate that, and I try really hard, and I pride myself really hard on being a good student
Good.
because those opportunities are valuable to me, and why would I want to waste those? I'm going to learn every single thing I can from AJ. I'm going to learn every single thing I can from the little marketing magician and every single other person that you introduced me to, because that's how I become better.
Yeah.
And yeah.
You're doing an extraordinary job of it, and you're getting the word out, and you're serving so many people. I can't wait to see where you are 10 years from now. It's funny. A lot of people say, oh, in 10 years, you're going to be a massive success. Like, you are a massive success, like by all definitions, all definitions. I can't wait to see the monumental shift you're causing, or you're going to bring about on this planet. So thank you for what you're doing.
Well, thank you. I mean, I really, honest to God, I don't know that I would be exactly where I am right now if it weren't for you, because your book, Profit First, I mean, it changed everything for me.
Thank
So
you.
I guess I owe you.
Okay. Well, share 10% of all your profits going forward. That's all I say. All right, my friend. One of these days, we'll actually drink bourbon face to face once, the COVID pandemic stuff.
Right.
But in
Well,
the meantime, thank you so much for joining me today.
thank you.
See you, Kasey.